moving on to protests, because I want to hear from someone who's actually been to protests, since we've been talking about it quite a lot. And Brian Cutts, who we've previously had on here, is back again to tell us about his experience. So let's see what this protest talk is about from the source.
What's going on, Brian?
Hey.
What's up?
Hey, Brian, what's up?
What's going
Hey,
on?
good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, actually. You know, all
It's good
things
to hear.
considered.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered is a fact. So I heard you've been at some protests.
I was at one protest.
Okay, one protest is still worth talking about.
Well, it was basically at my doorstep.
Might as well hop in.
I was like, you know, the conversation we had, the one thing that really resonated with me that you said, Sarah, is that it's important that we speak out in our communities and not yours, or not just yours. And so I live in a very, very white community.
Same.
Very white. Matter of fact, the only black people on my block, 2 houses down, have their house up for sale. So it was like, I was like, I got to go to this thing and see what's up. Honestly, like when I went, wasn't expecting much, you know?
Yeah.
But it was 300 or 400 people, which was a lot. And it was all like young white kids.
That's important.
You know, but organized by black leaders. So that was these were like, that was important for me, because if I had gone there and it was just like white people speaking, I probably would have just left. You know, I probably been like, this ain't it for me. This isn't what I think that we should be doing. We need to lift up black voices and give them a platform and facilitate that, and not be the ones always, you know, speaking out and leading. We need them to lead. Yeah. You know, we need to follow.
Can you tell us what the atmosphere was like when you were protesting? Like, was it peaceful? Was it heavy police there? Was it riding? What was it like when you were there?
Yeah, so the town I live in is like a lot of retired police. Mm-hmm. Like, this is like, there's a lot of Trump people. Signs, a lot of, like really, like, I'm not racist, but, you know, people. And they start off those conversations. I'm not racist, but, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
I'll stop you right there before you say something stupid. But anyway, so I'll break it all down for you guys if you want to hear it.
Yeah, no, I want to hear what it was like.
Although I like to get into some of these conspiracy theories.
That's all Will and Brandon. That's their lane.
I know. So we at this park, which is actually, I didn't even have to drive to this protest. I could walk to it from my house. It's a 10-minute walk down. We don't even have like a downtown, but we have a park where the municipal building is, the tennis courts, the pool club, you know. So that's where they met. So I actually have a buddy that lives like 0.8 miles from me. He was at the one in Asbury Park. And so he hit me up and he was like, yo, you going to this one? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to this one. So I just told my job, I was like, I'm tipping out for this. And they were like, yeah, cool. You know, that's fine. So I did work, met there. There's about 300 people. You know, I don't want to overestimate and say 400 because I couldn't really tell, you know, but if I was to say between 300 and 400, which is a pretty big, you know, margin. Mm-hmm. But it was a lot more people than I expected. I expected to see like 40 people there, honestly, in this town. I was like, I'm gonna go, and there's gonna be like 40 people, and we're just gonna be marching, and everybody's gonna be like, you know, I wonder what the energy's gonna be like.
Was there a police presence?
Yeah, so I go there. So here's the thing, like they said curfew. That means nobody's supposed to be out, right? So we have a shop right by us in our town, Hazlitt. So what I did was I called them up. They usually close at midnight. I said, hey, what time you guys open till tonight? I heard there's a protest and there's a curfew at 8 o'clock. Oh no, we're still open till midnight. And a woman goes, anyway, I heard that was squashed. And I was like, okay. I was like, thank you very much. So I called up the police station and I said, what's the deal with this curfew? How does this, I didn't say I was going to protest. I just said, how is this going to affect me as a citizen of this town? You know? Mm-hmm. It was a dispatch. The dispatch was like, I don't know what's going on, basically. Can I have your name and number? Have someone call you back? So I said, all right, here's my name and number. 5 minutes later, a female police officer called me back. Okay. Very professional, very courteous. She broke it down. She said, if you're traveling anywhere, you're able to go unimpeded to like your job, the grocery store, whatever. But if we see somebody walking around on the street or we get a report of suspicious activity, we're going to come out and we're going to ask you where you live and where you're going. You know, I said, so what about if I'm out in front of my house? She said, well, you should be all right there as long as the neighbors don't call the cops on you. And I was like, well, what if they do? She's like, well, even if we do stop you and ask you, you're not going to get arrested. We're just going to tell you to go home. So I was like, all right, okay. So that doesn't seem like it's too strict. It seems like you're doing this just for the protest, though, obviously. So put that aside. I go there, and there's more to this story. I'll tell you a lot more. So I go there, and there's a young black lady speaking, and she's from Hazlitt, and she actually talked about her mom being a law enforcement in this town. Some prosecutor's office, maybe. I'm not really sure. I remember quite well, specific. But she was talking about how she had even though she had the prosecutor's office, that she still dealt with racism, even though she had kind of like a little bit of a shield from that. It was still there. These high school kids got up and spoke about their experience. Black high school students might be like, he was like, maybe 3 or 4 of them in the whole school. I don't really know. Very little, how I think he was from Africa, Ghana, and he talked about how if he spent too much time in the bathroom and he came back, they would say how he was fascinated with running water, stuff like that. Like really, really bad stuff, right? These stories that were coming out. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, and they kind of told these stories, and their personal experiences with racism. And then everybody got together and marched down to the police station and we were chanting the whole way, the energy. I mean, I had tears coming out of my eyes just because I was like really feeling this. And then my buddy who hadn't been there, he actually linked up on the way to the march with me and was like, hey, what's up? And then I felt better.
Being that you said you were from pretty much like an all lives matter town, do you think that there was friction between the residents there and
so
guys as protesters?
I'm getting to that part.
Okay.
So along the way, though, there was some people holding up signs of support, handing out water, hand sanitizer, that kind of stuff. Like if anybody needed it, there were people in the march that had backpacks with signs on the back that said, I have hand sanitizer, masks, water, food. If you want anything, just ask me. And they had a sign on their backpack saying this. It was very, really supportive. So as we got down to the police station, across the street from the police station, there was a couple there that had made these signs. And they said, one of them said, it's not systemic. Do you feel better? You're wasting your time. And they were both standing there with like their PBA shirts. And they were standing on the lawn waiting for everybody and to instigate them. And they knew they were standing on their own lawn, right? But they lived right across the street from the police station where we were. That's where we were going, the police station, because that's where all these local protests usually end up, at the police station. So then I was on like the right side and these people were on the left. And I was like, I wasn't marching in the front. I was a little bit towards maybe 30 people deep from the front, but I saw people starting to gravitate over to them instead of the police station. So a few of these kids, younger kids, started talking to them, yelling at them. They were yelling back. One kid tried to like charge out. I had to like get in between him and
the cops did nothing.
Cops were there, but there wasn't anything physical really happening. So honestly, like I feel like God put me there that day because I started yelling, stay focused. It doesn't have to be ugly. We're not here for them. We're here to listen to there's a preacher about to pray in front of the police station. I said, we're not here for them. We're ignore them. They're just trying to agitate, stay focused. It doesn't have to be ugly. We need to go over here. Everybody was like, you're right. They started cheering. We went this way. And this couple was just there to agitate, saying we're wasting our time, useless protest, and I just thought it was ironic that this guy's making signs and everything. And turns out he's a retired police officer. And like all the cops came and like stood by him to protect him from, nobody was really doing nothing,
To protect the agitator?
Yeah, exactly. So they like kind of stood by him. They were talking to him. He wasn't wearing a mask, nothing. because
You got to.
exactly. Yep. So that thin blue line wasn't so thin that day.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was retired police officer. I did a lot of research on this guy afterwards.
I mean, you should, because he's in your community.
Exactly.
Well.
He's a threat to society, honestly.
Where the organizers, I'm assuming they're not from that town,
Yeah,
because you said that
they were.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Did you know them?
I did not know them because they're so much younger than me, and I've only lived in this town for 4.5 years. I'm not from this town. I didn't go to high school in this town.
Was there anything in the protest that happened that you didn't expect to happen, whether it was
there were some signs I didn't quite agree with. They were a little aggressive. Like, I feel like they kind of muddied the waters. They were very like anti-cop just in general, which kind of loses the picture that, we're not anti-cop, we're anti-bad cop. There are good cops out there that do a good job, I think, personally. They can't all be bad, man.
We've had
Come
this
on.
conversation before.
Yeah. Let me hear what, just wrap that up for me. Tell me, like, what's up?
Well, you may
Nah, Sarah, don't try to defer.
Well, when it
don't
comes
try to
to
defer, Sarah. Go ahead.
all right. I don't agree with that at all.
Nah, but when it comes to the good cop, bad cop thing, there has to be there becomes a point. There comes a point in time where it's like, yo, if you're a good cop, and it's very like
you
muddy
can't live in a
waters, right?
bubble
Because you have a family you have to protect, like you have family you have to look out for, and if you're just doing your job, uh, unbiasedly, without everything that comes along with it, quote unquote, the bad cop, it's hard to speak up because no one will be there to protect you, and you don't know the lengths that the quote unquote bad cops will go to when it comes to somebody speaking up. So, but ultimately, the good cop, bad cop, it's like I feel like it's semantics because it's about the system.
I agree.
I
agree. But like I said, there were some signs there that I didn't. They were hyper aggressive. Like I feel like, and they were kind of like, it loses the focus on what you're there for, which is, like you said, the system, right? So to like really have these signs that are like really like super provocative, right? I guess it's necessary. I just don't think like that is quite the way to get the message across, to reach across the aisle and really, because you could be hyper aggressive and you're not going to get anywhere.
Well, I guess the reason why we talked about previously about I don't want to say that, I'm sure people enter the force with like best intentions and everything like that, but when you are a cop, what you represent, that badge, that's what is bad about it. You probably are a good person. I don't know you, but I was reading the story today about this Black woman who was formerly she was at a position where she saw one of her colleagues chokehold, like putting someone in a chokehold, and she stopped it because she felt like it was excessive force, and they fired her.
Yeah, see, she
was stripped from her benefits.
So let me just kind of continue with this. It was because it was a pretty eye-opening experience, this whole thing. So then the local preacher from the church down the road said a prayer, and even the cops knelt and prayed with us. Everybody prayed. Even the cops did. They knelt and prayed in front of the police station. And the preacher really didn't hold nothing back on these cops. He was like, pray that they have the guidance that they need to correct themselves and the situation that's going on. He really didn't hold back much. I was like, wow, this guy's donation box will be empty on Sunday in this town, because he didn't hold back much, which I was surprised. And then, there's the one thing that I think really probably made people more mad in this town than anything else that was said or done. This guy got up and spoke Arabic from the Quran, which was dope. And speaking Arabic from the Quran, I was like, that probably got people mad more than anything else. Watch.
Did people actually end up clearing out?
It was from 1 to 3. So listen, so 1 to 3. So then we marched back to the park, and then they gave everybody they have a few more people speak, and then they said, hey, anybody want to come up and speak, they can speak. So I waited my turn, and I got up there and I spoke. And I think I found my lane where mine is. in saying that directly I said to them, do not have a white savior complex. Because coming from me, a white person saying that is going to sound a lot different than it comes from a black person to a white person, the way I look at it. You know what I mean? And I feel like I can speak to white people because I don't need to speak to black people. You know what I mean? So I even said, I'm speaking to white people. Be careful of having a white savior complex. Be careful. This goes beyond a protest with a selfie and a hashtag. So I just said, I told him, you have to do more. I was like, you got to support black businesses specifically. That's like another thing that I'm big on right now is economic empowerment, education, like any way we can transfer our knowledge and use our privilege that way to empower black people, we should, because there's a correction that needs to be made here. It's not enough to just be like, okay, we're going to treat everybody equal. No, we need to make a correction, and that's really deep down inside how I feel about it, So it's like, I told him, I looked out in the crowd and I said, I see a lot of young people here. I said, if it wasn't for you all, this wouldn't have happened today. This march wouldn't have happened. And they all clapped for that. So afterwards, and I thought about it, I was like, wow, it's interesting that they didn't clap for nothing else I said. But when I thanked them, being all the young people to come out, they clap for that.
So
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to take that,
I was going to ask, because a lot of white people don't believe in the white savior complex, white privilege. They don't believe in it. Coming from a black person is probably more offensive than anything.
Right. Because
how does it come from you?
That's a stage you have to get.
Yeah.
How did I get to it?
No, I'm saying, like, how do they take it when you say that?
Oh, dude,
how do you think? Because I know coming from me, it ain't gonna be good either way. So
no, but I think it would be better coming from me, right? I think that they can. I think I found a lane that very few people are driving in, right? That to really hammer home about this white savior complex, because if that's where you're at, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. You need to elevate yourself mentally and spiritually beyond that. Maybe that's one of the stages you get to before you get to that next
stage. Do you think because they didn't clap for you when you said, confronted them about their privilege and everything and how they have to implement some change as opposed to just standing here in the streets protesting?
Yeah.
You think that resonated with them?
I don't know. I didn't say that though. I didn't say, looking back, I wish I had said, hey, you didn't clap for anything else, but you clap for that, which means that you really need to take a look at yourself and why.
Right. You just thought about it subconsciously.
I thought about it afterwards.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you think about afterwards, but see, now that's a good thing, because now if I ever get up and speak again, I'm going to have that ready.
It's hard. I mean, you giving them that idea is probably more than they ever thought of before, to be honest, because some people just feel like, let me just be out in the street and protest, and then I did my part.
No, see, there was too much feel-good stuff going on at one point. I had people coming up, and I felt like I had to be the bad guy and be like, listen. And I told them too, I said, if you leave here feeling better about yourself, and I said this, I said, if you leave here feeling better about yourself, that's a good indication that you need to examine why you were here.
Right. To your point, because I went to a protest too, and I really didn't articulate myself. I really didn't articulate myself when I first said it. But to your point, I saw in the crowd, I saw a lot of people, young people of all different nationalities and races, whatever, there, but not really there. Like for me, I was there because I understood what it means for my future, right? And I also was there not in a celebratory manner, because I know that at any moment, if something pops off, I'm a target.
Yeah, that's
me and the people that I'm with. We're targets.
Yep.
And people don't, especially young people, because it hasn't been for certain young people. It hasn't been in their face like it has in the past or anything like that. They really think that this shit is for the internet or for their own
feel good.
Like feel good, like rise up.
That's
like
why I got up there and I felt like, if you feel good about this, then something's wrong. Something is wrong.
You don't
want to be here. You shouldn't want. It's like Killer Mike said it. He don't want to be. He doesn't want to be there. When he got up and spoke, he's like, I don't want to be here. You shouldn't want to be there.
Yeah.
You should need to be there.
Yeah, I'm going to say what I have to say, and then I'm going to pass it to Brandon, because I kind of cut him off. But I definitely think a lot of people were there just because of quarantine, and they were bored and they were craving some kind of social interaction with other people. I'm sure that has a big thing to do with it, but it's good to hear that these protests are finding their way in small
Yeah, I
cities
mean,
and
there
towns
was
like
one
where you're
in,
from.
every town next to me, you know.
Yeah, that's what's up. What were you gonna say, Brandon?
No, I was just gonna say the reaction they gave him indicates to me an unwillingness to maybe reevaluate or assess oneself. No one wants to believe that they are part of the problem. Um, so I feel like if you are in a group that isn't exposed to it and you're out there and you have someone that looks like you telling you you're the problem, it's like, yo, like, fuck this guy. Like, in your head, that's probably what you're thinking. But you don't want to say it because everybody I've ever heard that was white that spoke didn't. Ryan, you're one of the first few that has like literally one admitted to, who you are, who you were,
Absolutely. You
your
have to.
change, your
You
growth,
have to.
and what you want to do. That's not common that I've seen it in my life. And I'm not old. I still have hopefully another 60, 70 years to live where I might be able to see it, but I don't. So when that reaction to me is not surprising that they would only clap when you thank them for being out there, but not when asking them to assess themselves and ask themselves, how they view being out there. So
Right.
Yeah, nobody really wants to put that work in, because then essentially that means they're giving up their power, and that's not something that a lot of people want to do. But a lot of the stuff you said, I think for the three of us, is not surprising.
No.
Honestly, other than the fact that your town had a protest, considering how all lives matter, quote unquote, it is. But yeah, that's wild. I
So,
just
yeah.
wanted.
In contrast, my buddy's a musician, and when Eric Garner died, he wrote a song about him. So he's not on trend right now because it's a trend. He's been on this, and it's a song he plays almost everywhere he goes. And Eric Garner's grave is right here in New Jersey, and every year he goes with his daughter and puts flowers on that grave on Eric Garner's birthday. He got up right after me, and he's not really a public speaker. He's a very good musician, singer, songwriter, and he sang his song called "Death of Eric Garner," and that's what he sang that. And he's got a really good voice. He doesn't need a guitar or nothing. His voice is amazing. So he got up and sang that song, and the crowd loved it.
Yeah, the Eric Garner's death.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd loved it because it was a song. You know what I mean? It was like, if they really listen to the words, though, it's really like touching. And immediately afterwards, they had everybody that spoke signed a sheet. They wanted to know who all the speakers were. And the one girl was like, "Oh, and that song you sang, if I could have the name of that song, because it was really dope."
yeah, so
And I'm
that
like,
begs the question. What
yeah,
did they get out of
so
it?
right. So this is the thing we got to be really careful about if we want to go about doing this the right way. This is the thing that this is my lane now, because I feel like it's my lane as a white person to speak to white people like this, because I think as a white person, I'll be more effective than a black person telling white people this stuff.
My concern with that is though, like when I see protests and I see, white people out there that seem to be supportive, it concerns me why they're out there and what they're getting out of it. When you said what she said at the end, I was waiting for you to say that because I knew it was coming, something along those lines. And I don't believe that she was the only one, and I don't believe that out of all these protests, how many of them are out there to be out there, or how many are being supportive, because it might be counterproductive for some white people to be out there. And it's tough because obviously you can't condemn everybody, but it's like it's almost like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, type thing, because you're always going to have a group that's going to be looked at as, oh wow, they don't care. So
we have to leave room for growth. I mean, these people are very young. They're late teens, early 20s. So we have to leave a lot of room for growth, because if this is where they're at now, they're probably further along than their parents were, because their parents weren't there. They're probably further along than their parents were at that age. And, I feel like if when I spoke, if it spoke to one person and they took that home, really thought about it, and they grew from it and said, you know what? I got to examine myself and really look at what I'm doing and why. And then that maybe can help them grow in a way that they couldn't have otherwise.
Do you think your message may be too mature for the audience you might have had?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to make an assumption and say that, I didn't reach anybody or.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just young ears is young ears. They hear what they want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, when I was that age, I wasn't there either. Look at where I'm at now.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was that kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was that, but I wasn't marching in protests. You know what I mean? So, and now this is my message. So, what you got to say? Well, you look like you're chopping at the bit.
I'm sorry. No, but okay. There was a lot of harsh truths that was just popping up in my system as you were saying certain things.
Right.
And it wasn't for you. It was for it was generally.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna touch on, which is very vital, and it's a very telling thing. You said that these kids are young.
Yes.
But as a as a young person myself,
right,
and being younger, I already knew that I wasn't afforded the luxury to be careless in certain situations and stuff like that. So unfortunately, we live in a world that on a number of occasions and in a number of ways, they strip innocence from children all the time, and children are becoming more and more intelligent, and they get things faster than the generations before them.
Right.
Just by way of. So I can't give those quote unquote young people a pass just because they're young and they have to go through.
And you shouldn't as a black man. You should
also don't forget the trends. Young people are very aware of the trends, and Black Lives Matter is becoming more of a trend.
You're living it, man. They're not living it. You know what I mean? It's totally different for them.
And the thing is this, like, because ultimately, like, you gotta view it like this. A cop can get away with killing a baby, a black baby. Like I'm talking about a toddler, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can get away with that. And I'm not saying that in confidence. I'm saying that in regret. I'm saying that in like in the worst possible way, because that's where we are as a country with this problem. And unfortunately, because people in your generation, white people in your generation, who haven't got to the point where you're at, they allow it. Sometimes they applaud it. They support it.
Yep.
They by way, they have stripped the innocence from their kids. They damn sure strip the innocence from us, because now we have to grow up as 8, 9, 10, 11. We gotta understand this fear with the police. We have to understand it, and hope and pray that we survive.
Not just the police, because there's a weird phenomenon where I've seen this, where black children, especially male black children, like, are viewed like adults.
All
right?
History.
Like somebody will see a black child like 8 years old and treat them like they're an adult and forget that that's a child, especially black boys. You know what I mean? And it's a weird phenomenon that they forget that these are just children, and that they don't have the intentions of adults, and they don't have the
capacity, the mental capacity.
Yeah, they don't have the thoughts of these are just kids. Like, it's like, but they're viewed like adults. That's how it's almost like this fear, and they view them like adults out of fear. You know what I mean?
I wish we could separate black boys, but I've seen too many little black girls, like very small, be ragdolled across rooms and thrown into chairs and desks by full-grown policemen. It don't matter your gender if you're black. You get in that same.
It is true. It is true. But it is a phenomenon where white society views them as adults, like sees them as an adult.
Well, that's just how they justify it. Well,
yeah.
they don't care.
And I want you to like if you choose to, you could take this message back to the white people that you come in contact with, like by way of them doing nothing. And this is something that a black person doesn't have to say, or a person of color doesn't have to say, but by way of them doing nothing, by way of them dismissing the slaughter, the genocide, the blatant genocide of black and brown bodies, ranging from age and gender, their compliance is their ultimate demise, because the more that they try to avoid it, the more that they try to shield their kids from it. The world is interconnected. There's nowhere else you can go. We haven't found a way off this planet yet.
Yep.
But in that, like, the problem is that the kids that are coming up, I don't because people always like to put in the buzzword of progressiveness and all that. I don't see any progression. All I see is transformative behavior. Something that's always been there is just transformed into something else. And not for you specifically.
No, and you don't have to keep qualifying that, Will.
Yeah. Sorry, because I don't want it to seem like an attack.
No.
The transformative behaviors can become covered up by the trendy times, the trendy waves that can dismiss your intent and your energy as a person, and cover that up because, oh, I was there, I was present. Like a lot of people attend class, but a lot of people, not everybody passes.
I thought you were gonna say a lot of people attend, but they ain't present. That would have been, because that's
real.
That's real. So
that's a fact. But and that too, like,
I know
a lot of people,
because look at all the protests in the '60s, and now those people are adults running the country.
Say the only thing I heard an older black person say was like, it's the same stuff. The only thing that's different though now is that young white people are protesting too. So hopefully there will be some kind of change in the near future. Obviously, we're hesitant about it. What's up, Brian?
I don't know that that's true.
Well, I just
part.
heard it from the old man. I wasn't alive, but why?
Because I feel like anyone who denies that white people have protested alongside black people in the past as well is just that you have to include that. There has always been this picture. You can see them all over the place.
Yeah, but they were legit back in the day because they get beat down. Even worse.
So they were lynched. There was always white people around. Like, I don't want to. I'm not saying that the treatment that black people got wasn't worse, but there were still those white people that were out there that were getting beat down and mowed down.
They were treated as traitors to their race. You know what I mean?
I guess he meant the number of
legit. Now it's pretty comfortable to go out, and like I said, then protests ended at 3. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Curfew's at 8. So then they came out on their Facebook page. 5 o'clock. Oh, we're canceling the curfew. We're good. So I said on the Hazlitt, police page, I said, you instilled fear and caused alarm for the citizens of this town for no reason at all. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we know why the curfew was implemented. We're not surprised. I don't think any of us are. But
most of the try to ask certain questions and call them up and ask them certain questions and be like, "Yeah, so what's going on with this?"
Just a lot of those. What I was saying before y'all jumped, it was the Constitution and how it wasn't written while we were free. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the policies that are upheld that obviously police white people as well. A lot of their procedures are made for black people that are loosely enforced upon white people. So a lot of things that they do when we see these the curfew, like, of course white people have to follow that loosely. If I see you out at 8 o'clock as a white person, hey, you live around here? Okay, just make sure you get home right now. As a black person, say, hey, where you going? Why are you not home? Or you gotta come with us. It's
gotta come with it. We seen it in Atlanta.
Exactly.
We seen that couple in Atlanta, what they did to them.
Yeah, and I was being nice. It don't go like that.
Yeah,
But
no, I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
Especially not now.
And that's what it is. So like when we look at these policies, we hopefully people choose not to. I think people know. I would hope that I would rather you know and not care than act like you don't know. But yeah, that's what I feel it is. But yeah, I can continue. I didn't want to bring it back.
No, so the other interesting thing that was that this guy was at this protest. He was actually a little bit older than me, and he films the police everywhere. That's what his job is he polices the police and films the police. He knew all the officers by name that were in doing crowd control and stuff.
Was he white?
Yeah. You knew them all by name.
Not let no black guy do that.
You don't.
No, you knew them all by name. I'm just saying though, like he filmed.
No, I've seen a video of that happening. Like these black people were pulled over, 3 black guys, and this white man stopped and literally pressed the police, asked them what they did, asked them why they broke the law. Eventually, the whole town came out and they let them go because they had no reason to pull them over. They were suspected of a robbery, supposedly. But
he was saying like one of the things you need to do is look at how many complaints and lawsuits they got against the police in your town. Like that's all public record. You need to look at that. So I started digging, man, and I thought, oh, and you know, there was a black man that got up and said that this was the only town he felt respected by the police in every interaction he's had with them. That, you know, he was from Brooklyn, and he said, you know, he's had horrible experiences in different towns. He said, but this town that we live in, he said, every time he's had an interaction with the cops, has been courteous and respectful, and he feels safe. So I was like, oh, okay. And then this other guy got up here that films police. He was like, let me tell you something. And then he went down. He was like, there's stuff going on that you don't know about. You know, your personal interactions might have been all right so far, but there's stuff going on. And then I come to find out back in 2014, there was a complaint by the only non-white officer of them displaying a photo of KKK members at the police station, and like just weird stuff. Like I was like, whoa.
None of that is surprising to me at all, which is why a lot of people would say there's no good cops, quote unquote, because I'm sure you've seen some things that are crazy within the force. Whether you agree with it or not, that's just I understand why people say it, to be honest with you. And
say it though.
I mean, that's how you feel. That's why we're here.
Only reason why I can't say that is because if you use that logic for the cops, I understand you think it's because of a badge makes them any different. I don't think it makes them any different. They're regular to me. Right. You use that logic for the cops, you got to attack the teachers, you got to attack the parents, you got to attack everybody, which means the same logic applies if you're bleeding blood then that means if you're breathing lungs through your air, if you're a person, that means you're a bad person. Because if you've done something in your life where you stood by, you could have changed something possibly. You did nothing. There's a whole bunch of things that people do in life that they can do. They don't because of fear, or they think they have no power in that situation to do anything. So they watch it, or they walk away, or they don't do anything. Same thing with cops. Some cops, they know but it's wrong, but they're scared. I don't know.
I'm not saying. I'm sure
what do you do?
There's blurred lines, gray lines, whatever. I'm sure it's not easy to leave your only way of living. Like I get that.
I can't call them a bad cop. I say they're scared.
That's that Serpico stuff you're talking about.
Huh?
That's that Serpico stuff you're talking about.
What is that?
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
You never seen that?
Oh no.
Before my time.
Watch that movie.
Good to know.
Talk about a cop on his own that's good and pays the price. That's a good movie, man. You gotta watch that.
There definitely is a code. I'm telling you, like,
no, I'm sure
it's a lot of fear.
It's a blue code.
And you are right. Some people go in ignorant and don't know, and they expect to make a change, and then they're rudely put in check, and there's a fear. And some people don't think it's as easy just to back out as you think it is. Those people should not be condemned if they try to go out and make their interactions as genuine as possible and make change within their interactions, and hopefully, like, there's not much you can do to change the system. But if you know you can't change the system, but you go out and you try to make people feel comfortable because you don't want to be looked at that way, can I blame you for the rest of the people? Yet I don't make you you can't do anything. What can you do? You'll get fired, or you'll get You'll get stationed in an area that you don't need to be in, or you don't know anything about. You scared, and then I was scared because I saw 2 people come out the project, so I shot them. Like people are policing areas they know nothing about. That's why they're scared. You shouldn't be coming from upstate to police Brooklyn. Maybe you should be policing Brooklyn, but they have people in all these different counties coming to all these different areas and policing people they have never seen before in their whole entire life. That's where it happens. So I believe you cut me. I believe that I was cut off, but
A little bit.
but it's fine.
No,
I
you're
felt it. I
right.
felt it. I felt the energy. Like,
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't. You know, I watch your show and like some of the stuff you guys talk about. I'd like to chop up some of that stuff too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know that we kind of talked a lot about the protests. You said you wanted to get into some of the conspiracies.
It's super relevant, man. It's super relevant about what's going on right now. You know, there's things I'm learning along the way here. You know, I'm trying to do stuff more one-on-one instead of like going through organizations and donating money to some organization that I don't know what they're really doing with the money, you know, operational costs, what's going on there. I would rather
There's been a couple of those. I think your best bet is just to listen to local organizers like you did.
I think my thing now is like mentorship, economic empowerment on a one-on-one basis, education, because I have a depth of experience and knowledge in certain areas that I can transfer that to somebody and teach them how to make money, how to run a business, how to develop skills, how to work with, you know, that if I can convey that knowledge to young Black people, that I can empower them, you know, because maybe these are some missing pieces along the way that I took for granted with my upbringing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely a good place to start. Because
we got to be willing to accept it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the thing that's tough.
Wait, except what?
Because a lot of us, it's a pride thing, and because we're in this, it's like a white person offering to help you with those things. You have to be able to assess in your mind where it's coming from and be okay with taking that, right? So like, I understand the battle that comes in, like, you know, certain things, a certain internal battle that we have in our heads, when we are offered certain things, and it's not easy. I'm not going to get on someone for turning that down. I would ask them why, you know, maybe they're not maybe they're not, you know, mature enough to, or maybe they said something maybe they said something in that interaction that they was like, nah, I don't think it's genuine. So
gotta give it time. So I have Black people that advise me when I approach somebody or I send an email, like how to kind of go about it, because there's some legitimate PTSD. You know, I am a white person. They might see it as like, well, what's the catch? You know,
you're gonna get some hesitation for sure, especially when you first start.
Yeah, and I got to remember that it's not about me. That's the one thing I got to keep reminding.
It's not personal at all.
It's not about me. This isn't for me. Like if somebody rejects that, you know, I got to accept that. I can't just...
like that your idea is to start within the community.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to get some national coverage like really fast out of nowhere, that quick gratification. It starts within your community. That's the best message you could put out there.
Exactly. So it's like, you know, and I'm straight up. I'm like, hey, I owe a debt to society. I'm not doing this because I'm trying to be a white savior. And I don't think sometimes that can register right away.
Yeah,
you know,
it has to be shown.
Exactly.
Because unfortunately, there's not too many people from your walk of life who do that genuinely. So even if they present it and package it that way with ulterior motives, that creates just another wall, another barrier between the communities.
So what I'm finding is I need Black allies to do this work.
I would partner with somebody who's
So it's kind of weird, right? It's like you talk about white allies. I need black allies to do this work that I want to do. Like I say I try to avoid the word I because then I don't want to make it about me. You know what I mean? So it's like I really got to keep examining that and checking myself that it's not about me. It's not about me. You know?
Well, I think in this case, since you're personally talking about what you specifically are going to do to change it, I don't think it's in a narcissistic way that you're saying.
I got a question for you. Came from one of my white friends on Facebook. Well, literally in the most Facebook term as friend. But he puts apparently. Can you guys hear me? I want to make sure. Yeah. He puts apparently some snowflake was offended by my last. I still stand with my last post. Reparations are a joke and have nothing to do with anyone that's alive. I will not apologize for something I had no part in. When I read this,
that was from a couple days ago, right?
Yeah. So I read this and I was just like, the person is coming from.
I was gonna speak up, but I don't.
Reparations, I don't really hear. I hear people asking for it, but that's not necessarily what I would ask for. Too, to act like it doesn't affect me is crazy, or it doesn't affect the Black community. When you're like, it's almost like, and I'm not going to steal this, but I watched the video. It's almost like playing Monopoly 400 times, and 400 times you tell me I can't have no money while you guys play. I have to go around the board, but I can't collect no money, so I can't buy no property.
You don't get that initial money that everybody
exactly.
Else
but then you let me play.
You don't get the $200.
Exactly. You watched the video, did you?
No.
Oh, okay. So the next 50 times you let me play, you give me some money, but every time I buy too much property, you take it away. Yeah. So it's like that's what's going on. So how can you say it doesn't affect me if my people and their communities have for over the last so when I hear these things and it's like, one, nobody wanted your apology. So I hate when, the most randomest of white people just be like, "Oh, I'm not going to apologize." Well, I wasn't asking.
I was asking for an apology.
So, exactly. And I just don't understand. But I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah. So first of all, you know how I feel about reparations. Like I said, not in the form of handing out money, because the black dollar will only last 1 hour in a Black community on average. So we don't want to do that. Okay. What we want to do is uplift them economically, educationally, family value, all that stuff. We need to start doing the work in the communities, and starts with educational systems, right? We need to start moving money into those schools. We need to start putting good teachers in there, Black leadership, give them role models, everything. I mean, I don't know all the answers, but yeah, you do.
I just have. This is going to be very. All right, I'm gonna start it off by saying it like this. When it comes to the fixing that Black and brown people need in this country specifically and globally, it starts with the emotional, the psychological, the mental first, because if that's not in order, everything in the external world will fall.
Right.
But the notion of reparations is so minute to what is actually owed.
And communities have gotten them. Communities have gotten them.
And I'm not even because I've done the research on it, so I kind of have a basic idea of it. But we're not even talking about the building of the nation. Right. We're not talking about the continuing thriving economics of the nation, and where they get their monies from. I'm talking about like literally building the geopolitical system of America. A lot of Black people have been misplaced and erased out of the history of them setting up certain systems that we currently still use. Them being appointed by white people at the time, to set up and help this country thrive better. Like the reparations is like going to a dealership and getting a Bentley. That's what reparations is in the grand scheme.
I don't think of it like that. Like
I'm telling you.
Hold on, I want to hear though, because it might not necessarily be. Everyone has their own idea, but I do want to hear it.
That's why I said we don't want to give out money. we have to restore what was lost if we can. I mean, that's where we got to start. We got to start. So you talk about companies, right? So what is their number one cost? Any company?
The overhead, the
Nope.
the
distribution, no?
Payroll.
the workers.
Payroll.
Okay.
So now, right. So now you got companies that are still in existence that were built off the backs of slaves, right? Because their payroll was 0 to none once they started breeding them, right? So this is what I'm talking about, right? So how do we break that down, right? That ill-gotten gain and shift it, right? How do we do that? I mean, you talk about the mental and spiritual aspect of that, right? So it's like as a society, we have to do such a 180, you know. It almost seems impossible, because look how many years it took to get this deep into it.
I agree with you. They could just use those reparations to redistribute that into Black communities in
And
the
it wouldn't be
educational
hard.
system.
They've done it for a lot of other
Exactly.
communities that have been wronged throughout the history of the country. For some reason, the reason why you won't do it for the Black community in any type of form, in any form of reparation, you'd have to acknowledge and admit what you did. And that's one thing that they will not do, or they don't want to do. Maybe they will get to that point where they acknowledge, but that's why a cop, won't. Cops are scared to do something when the brutality is happening. That means you acknowledge something's wrong, which means they have to discipline that now. You have no choice. And then then the one that stopped that's your ass.
Yeah.
So
the thing that gets me is like you're still seeing it, but everybody got the memo. Everybody definitely got the memo this time around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yet you're still seeing it.
What's the memo?
Is stop killing unarmed Black men.
Look,
That's the memo. They got the memo, yet just the other day we got another one.
yeah. But you
to
know
that
what
point,
is that? But that one, I'm sorry, Will. The argument people will say, he's wrong because he grabbed the taser and he pointed it. Like people will find any issue, anything to
Taser was
blame.
already discharged twice, which means it's useless, and the cop knew that.
But I'm talking about
120 people
residents.
died
Yeah.
from today till the time that George Floyd passed away. So I don't feel like the memo is being gotten.
yeah,
It's being ignored.
Got the memo. They're just not doing it.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I mean, you've been put on notice at this point because you're going to jail now. You're going to jail, no doubt.
that is yet.
Let's see these you're getting the charges.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see the
I was gonna say,
conviction.
Joe was a reach.
Right.
But
You're right.
this is what I want to say. All right, so to the point of the memo, like I agree with Sarah. Like I saw a post on Facebook that said, since George Floyd died and the protests started, the police have killed 120 people, and that's 10 people in 20. That's 10 people a day for 20 days, essentially. So, essentially,
And that's not
if you
counting the
want
ones
to
they ruled as suicide.
word,
Or the ones
Oh.
that tell you
essentially,
about.
your word. So essentially, with that logic means that, okay, we are experiencing a point in time because police killed an unarmed Black man. So the response to that is to continue to kill more people. And I'm gonna say more people because I don't know the ratio of how many Black
Right.
people are in that number.
Right.
So
It's
yeah. So this logic, I feel like it's it's really, it's not funny, but you have to laugh at it because it's, if it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. There's not so many intellectual conversations you can have before you deduce that, oh snap, this is really what they on. Like this is really they want to move. Period. Right. And just to circle back on a point that I said about the reparations thing is like going to a car dealership and getting a Bentley. I said that as an analogy. I didn't mean it literally
Right.
because of the not only just the contributions, but literally the blueprint that Black people have given the quote unquote leaders of this country throughout history,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been either lost, undocumented, or
Right.
uncovered
Yeah.
history.
Yeah, like
Like
Frederick Douglass, and that's it,
let's just say it has to
right?
be an exchange of power.
They give you like
Say it again.
Frederick Douglass, and that's it, as far as
Oh,
acknowledgement.
yeah. So
Like
I would
that's
say it's not
that's all they
reparations.
give you.
I would say it's not reparations. I say it's an exchange of power because literally,
Right.
literally, if you go searching for it at this point, because you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
The the very backbone uh, the very backbone of this country is Black,
Yeah.
and white people have reaped the benefits of that backbone.
But
That's why I
you
say
say
I owe that to society.
So that's
That's why I say I owe a debt to society,
true, true.
right? Because
But
I
I and this is
benefit from that not by any willingness of my own,
mm,
just like you didn't choose to be oppressed, you know? So that's why I say I owe a debt to society and why I do what I do.
and this is not for you. This is like for the bigger conversation of reparations because
Right.
a lot of our people lean on that conversation, and that's like a lot. All right, I'll say it. I'll give it to you this analogy. Let's just say school systems. School systems are failing in this country. We're our numbers rank low in terms of the world, right? And the solution that many people in the government would propose is to throw money at it. Reparations is exactly that same thing. Throw money at it, and that's going to be the fix. That's going to be the solve. No, you have a system. I'm going back to the educational system. You have a system where you base your numbers, your success off of people being essentially,
off a test.
yeah, essentially numbers on a sheet.
Right.
And for you to want to catch up and climb back to the top, you're not going to climb back to the top because the system is flawed.
But they
And
don't
this,
care about that. Just like they don't.
of course,
That's
of
the
course,
thing. So once again, you're
but
comparing two of the same things that they don't care about. They don't care about reparations, and they don't care about the education system.
So what's
They
the
care
solution?
about being number one in the economic race. That's what they want. So
What's the
so
solution? Like, what's a viable solution that we can work towards as a society? That would be my big question. Like, and I don't want to come to Black people for solutions. That's the thing. It's like we got to figure this out as white people because we control this system.
uh
I think
uh
again, just putting money into places, unlike writing a check, like what most people would want reparations to be, but putting them into public housing, into education, into healthcare for Black people. I still don't understand why this country does not have free healthcare when you know you could afford to.
Oh
But
yeah. Oh yeah.
things like
uh
that, it's not just throwing money at it, because if we throw money at things like education and public health, that would ensure people to have progress. They would be given at least somewhat of a equal playing field. If they have the same resources, it's just lack of resources.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like for every solution, someone can come up with a reason why it won't work. I
That
feel like I feel like for someone to say what's the solution is almost like saying it's not possible. There's no way anyone can sit down. You have to sit down, but there's no way that you can possibly have a meeting or two meetings or three meetings and come up with solutions. It'll all always be something that's gonna combat that as well. I feel like obviously people need to be sitting down. There needs to be like obviously a whole. If you want, maybe let's tear apart the Constitution and rewrite that. How about we, because that
Don't
wasn't written
do
for us.
that. Don't ever do that.
I don't
They
want to do that right now.
I know they won't. I know they won't. But what I'm saying
Now
is
you're asking a
every
lot.
I'm asking a lot, but when I say that is the First Amendment and the Second Amendment are the only two amendments that most white people will ever talk about. And they only want that for themselves. You have a bunch of Black people running around saying what they want and carrying guns legally. They're gonna want to change that real quick.
That's
I say
what the
right now,
Medford Act is about. The Medford Act in California, when the Black Panthers showed up
exactly.
with at the doorstep of City Hall, armed legally. The Medford Act restricted guns in California like that, and it was backed by the NRA because, whoa, black people got guns now, which is interesting because my brother was at the firing range a couple of weeks ago, and he said and he's down in South New Jersey, and he said half the people there were black. He said he had never seen so many black people at the firing range before. So I was like,
it's uncomfortable.
I was like, dude, like it's on. Like they're not playing.
I promise you, if more black people like learn the Constitution and then allow themselves the same luxuries that the Constitution allows for some white people, they'll start to be like, maybe we should alter this a little bit, and then that's when the Constitution will change. But it should.
If every black person got a gun today, I guarantee they would change the Second Amendment.
So it's that easy. So when you say it won't happen, it's that they won't do it because they know, but they will if it affects them. The Constitution is for them.
That's why there's so many hoops to get a firearms license.
Which is why there's no solution to me.
You know?
Damn, that's depressing as hell.
I mean, the solution.
You got to go through. Oh, here's the solution for this, but then in order to do this, you got to do this. But in order to do that, you have to. You know what I'm saying? There's so many hoops you got to jump for us, and it's like, why does it have to be that hard? Really, it should just be treat me like you treat yourself. I don't care if you don't like me. You can have your thoughts about me as a person. I might not like you, but I don't wish death upon you. I'm just going about my day. I'm not even thinking about you, but you're thinking about me. That's a problem. So I want to be treated. I want to have the same opportunities. I want to be able to walk around and not feel like I'm being stared at. I want to be able to possibly have an interaction with a cop and not be scared I'm going to lose my life. I want to see a cop riding down the street and not be like staring at him because I think he's going to be, like I have PTSD driving my car. Every time
you want to know what's funny? I was watching something and the guy was like, black people don't even have PTSD because PTSD would mean post, as in it happened. Like we're still going through it. We're not over it.
Exactly. What were you gonna say, Brian? You gonna say something? You're gonna add on?
Or even like like white people straight up give cops attitude
all the time. And they do what they tell us not to do.
And then it's like, and they say, "Oh, white person, you work for me. I pay your salary." Stuff like this.
I'm a taxpayer.
Never step out of the car, sir.
Yeah.
It's like they're thinking to themselves, "Man, is this person gonna complain? Like, you know what? I better just write this ticket and get on."
Yeah,
or just give them a warning. Last 2 times I got pulled over, I got a warning.
But how is? I know people say like the proper things to do. I was taught obviously a young age, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like how to interact before I could drive with a car. Like roll your windows down. Ask the police officer for permission to go into this. Like you have to be so correct, and then.
It still goes sideways.
Exactly. But these are the things, once again, you're taught these things. And for you to grow up like, okay, if I do this, and then you watch people do it and they still get shot, it's like, yo, like, what is the solution? Because for every time they come out, okay, we change this, and it still happens or something else happens. That's why I say you defund the police. That's going to what's that going to change? If anything, it's going to make them even more bitter, right? So like, what is the solution after that? Like, you have to have something in place. You have to change the whole thing. And I don't care about adding any type of trainings because they go through trainings. It doesn't do anything.
Well, they said like it's not always the best scenario for somebody to show up with a gun to every single scenario.
Exactly. Yeah. If I call you to my house for like a regular.
Not just that, but why are they out here just driving around? Like, why aren't they like the fire department? Like, we'll call you if we need you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be driving around. Like the fire department, you don't see fire trucks driving around looking for fires, ambulances looking for people.
Well, I do see ambulances kind of patrolling, but
really?
Yeah, here in the in the Bronx, Manhattan, sometimes you kind of not really Manhattan, but in the Bronx, you kind of see them like
looking for sick people.
Nah, probably just on standby, waiting for a call. But the fire trucks sometimes they're driving around. They ain't no fire. They turn the sirens on to get past the traffic, and they turn them on real quick. Like they ain't going nowhere.
They might be doing drills or something. I don't think they're driving around looking for fires to put out. Like
no. But I think a lot of times they're on standby, like they're just in motion, like on patrol or whatever, just like waiting for a call. So they're already on the move in their area.
And like the whole traffic stop thing, it's just a reason to like check you out.
Yeah.
For
the whole reason. Fact that they have quotas to fill. Why are you looking for trouble? Like, you're looking to find someone who's in trouble.
Well,
They're
that's
I read
creating
about a
trouble.
black cop that got disciplined because he was behind on quotas. He wasn't obviously pulling over enough black people. He wasn't writing enough tickets. And also he was refusing to be a part of an incident that he had no part of. So of course, like they pretty much I forgot what happened to him. They didn't kick him off the force, but he got disciplined. And it's like all because he wasn't trying to, be a part of the antics. Now, when you say there's no good cops, that's a good cop to me. And he's trying to survive. And he's got caught up. Like, it's what they do. They force themselves upon you. And if you don't, then they abuse you with their power. And you have no power against other cops. So, because if you're not with the blue, it's as a cop, they probably tell you is when you put on a uniform, you one of us, not one of them. I know they do it. So
yeah, that's
Or
easy.
nah, I have all right, quick story. My cousin, he used to be a police officer, but uh, he got hurt, so he was able to go on disability because of that. And my mom tells the story all the time. But he was in the car with I guess his commanding officer, and they had stopped a black. Well, the white officer had yelled out to a black person and said something nigga, like, and my cousin was sitting right next to him, and man, he looked over to my cousin and said, what, you know what you signed up for, you know why you know what you signed up to. And I'm pretty sure there are so many of those checks that they do to all police officers of color around the country. I'm pretty sure that they get their rude awakening uh, um, once they are on site, placed at their department, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the reality. So when back to our police conversation, I was like, yo, I said for all the black and brown police, there's going to come a time where you have to choose, because it's going to get to a point where your salary is not going to matter, your pension is not going to matter, because the state of the world or the state of the country is going to make it to where all of that shit won't matter. So you have to pick a side, and they're going to make you pick a side just by way of.
Yeah.
So that's a light story. That story's light. I'm pretty sure that
There's plenty like
if
that.
I if
Think
I
about
ask,
it. We're
I'm pretty
not
sure.
cops. I mean, we're not cops. Think about all the stuff we don't know about.
exactly. That's what.
We don't know the real situation until you're in it. Like what's really going on.
Take that even further. We don't know anything. So
Yeah.
you have to go digging. And that's where a lot of our problems lie. Just the opinions on things we don't know. Which causes more frantic, and it's just a ticking time bomb that we live in. With the social media is a gift and a curse at the same time. Like, you say whatever you want, no repercussions, no discipline, no nothing, because whatever. And people, if you have a following, they'll just eat it up. No one can check it. So
social media is super manipulative. It'll put stuff that you love or hate in
On
front of you
purpose,
constantly. I've
the
seen
algorithm.
I've seen it pretty bad recently on my feed, and I had to dip out for a minute.
Yeah, that shit scares me, especially if you're just talking about something out loud and all of a sudden it's on your Twitter page or whatever. On your
It's
Instagram.
worse than that. I'm talking about something 3 days old that I really didn't want to be seeing anymore. And I know there's a bunch of other stuff that have been posted in the last 3 days that are more relevant. And then this is like the first thing I see.
Yeah.
And it's old. Nobody commented. Nobody liked it for like 3 days. Why are you throwing this up in front of my face again? You know what I mean? And it's like, because you know I'm gonna try to interact with it because I'm mad at it. You know?
I'm not gonna. I mean, wherever the conversation goes, but I was gonna say that uh, solutions, because it seems like there is no solutions, but there's just I would agree, but I would say to that when it comes to solutions, it's all the things that people know that they have to do, but they're not willing to do. I.e., but simple and plainly, the solution is everybody has to give up their comfort.
Give up their power.
First and foremost, they have to give up their comforts, and then you have to acknowledge who's really contributed the most to uh kind of situate where people are in society. And for that, and that's never going to happen because that's not human nature, and that goes against survival. So essentially, it has to be a play from history, in which it's
Here's
always
my solution to fix the government. Everybody got to live in like public housing and don't get paid anything. They just get their room and board and they get nothing else for the rest of their life.
How they get food?
What would that do?
Everybody in government.
Oh,
Everybody in
everybody in
government.
government.
Everybody in government.
Everybody in
No,
a
they're not
government
doing that. Why
position.
would they do that?
Senator, right. So then now you're not getting in unless you really want to do this job the right way. You don't get to influence. No one gets to influence you financially. You don't get any. You can't own any stocks. All you get to do is live in these, public housing, very bare minimum, and do the job.
They won't even acknowledge that there needs to be change. Are you familiar with Jane Elliott?
Yeah, we talked about her last time.
We did, right? That was like her asking the question to a bunch of white people. Raise your hand if any of you would want to be black, and no one raised their hand. You know there's a problem. That shows there's a problem.
Well,
you just
I
don't want to
mean,
do anything about it.
even if it wasn't an issue, I wouldn't expect a bunch of white people that I want to be black regardless of the circumstances. My change, I guess I see where you're coming from with the idea. I feel like people aren't supposed to be governing and policing the way it's being done. A democracy is not. I don't think the idea of it was supposed to be this, because it's not really a true sense. It's not really a true democracy. It's manipulated. Well, as far as
we're a republic.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they want to push. It's a
India
democracy.
is the largest democratic country in the world.
Yeah, but that has to change. The way that we're governed, the manipulation in that in itself is so corrupt. How you can vote for someone and still have the opposite person go in, like that there's two-party system itself, that from the top down you have to change it. The fact that you don't bring attention to these local elections and make this
the thing I said to them at that protest also. I said, you need to go out. I said, I'm looking out here and I don't know how many of you are 18 and going to be 18. I was like, you're probably thinking about voting for president. I was like, that doesn't even matter compared to voting for your local mayor, your governor, your local government. Yeah, is
Congress.
More important. Your assemblyman.
It affects you first.
Like, you need to vote here because the state rights. That's why we're a republic. A republic it's all about state rights. The states have more rights than the federal government. How do we know that? They're legalizing stuff that the federal government is still saying is illegal, and no one's getting arrested for it.
That's a fact.
Okay, so who's got more rights, the feds or the state? Because them saying going to bring in a National Guard, only the governor of the state can do that. The feds can't do that.
It's a good point.
That's why Trump was putting pressure on them to say to all the governors to say that, hey, if you want the National Guard, we're right here. Because he knows he can't just bring them in. The governor has
that he was going to
request that.
Implement fair.
Yeah. Governor has to ask and request that the National Guard come in to their state. Otherwise, it ain't happening. So it's important what state you live in, too. That's why, Ahmaud Arbery gets killed in Georgia and there's no hate crime. Even though he stood over him, it came out, stood over him and said the N-word, after he killed him.
I kind of want to bring attention to a lot of the females that live in certain states. So, and I don't mean to be, I know females becoming a derogatory term, so I have to watch myself. But women, I'm sorry?
So it's very clinical.
Yeah, I have to watch myself. So a lot of the women in certain states, when they're under, when they're being detained in certain states by police are able to do whatever they want to them, and nothing happens. They can rape these women and get away with it, and they can't say anything, even if there's semen found in the body.
So you're talking about that recent case where the girl was raped, and the cop said, "Oh well, yeah, I had," because they know they did the rape kit and they got the DNA.
Consensual sex while she was handcuffed.
Oh yeah, it was the defense. Oh yeah, it was consensual, and they said, "Oh well, that's allowed. What?
It's not
It's not illegal.
Right. That's
rape
crazy.
someone in police custody. That's
And
wild.
that's why I don't put police over anybody. I always say, and people look at me crazy, like, you lose your daughter, right? You call the cops to find your daughter, and you might have just sent a pedophile to go find her in a uniform. I don't put them on a pedestal. I think they're regular people, and I don't trust them because they're regular people. And regular people, some of them have issues. Some of them do things in the dark that we don't know about. So it's like, why are you're going to send them? You're going to just trust them because they have a badge? I don't.
What would you do?
What would I do?
I'm only asking because we previously had the conversation about can we abolish police? So if you don't call the cops,
I wouldn't. I know it's not. I know it's not feasible to abolish the police. I advocate for reform or change from the top down. Obviously, my thing is the fact that I would be scared to call the police to help me is a problem. Right. I'm scared to call the police to help me. I'm not saying I don't need them. I'm scared of them. I'm scared of their help. I'm scared they won't help. They'll make it worse. That's the problem. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know what the solution to that is. I'd probably have to call them if I was in that type of distress and desperation, but I would be scared at the same time. Not for my daughter being out there. I'd be scared that they would find her or not find her. It maybe a lot of these people these girls that are going missing. I don't think all of them are not going missing because the police didn't find them. You know, who knows what there's human trafficking is everywhere. And I don't know. There's a lot of people that have their hands in that, and we don't know about that. You don't think the police have their hands in that sometimes? I don't know. But I don't put it past anybody or anything. So these are the things I'm scared of. And who knows? So
it's a rightful fear.
You figure like with more power, there's more corruption too.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's a tendency of human nature. It's human nature.
Yeah. It's power tripping. That's the point of the whole police brutality thing.
The only time I was ever scared of a police officer is one time me and my buddy used to carpool from a rest stop here along the highway. And on the way back, you know, he would leave his car there and we would drive to the job or whatever. And so when I went to go drop him at his car, there was at the back of the parking lot, there was an unmarked police car, and you could tell somebody was having sex in that car. You could see it in the windshield as we drove by. And the only time I was scared is I didn't want him to know that we saw him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Have you ever called the cops before?
Have I ever called the cops? I called the cops on a neighbor once because he came over and threatened me. Yeah.
I was just asking because I asked Brandon and Will that previously.
Yeah. I've never called the cops on a black person, though. I can honestly say that. This is a white man that I called the cops on. So, and honestly, like, you'd have to be doing something really out of line for me to call cops on a black person at this point.
That was the point of me asking. The fact that you were able to feel comfortable enough to call the cops.
How old were you?
Someone for just threatening you.
Was it recent?
This wasn't recent. This is probably like 8 years ago. And I really called the cops because I didn't want to have to deal with him myself. You know, like he came on my property and basically I was like.
Because I know so many people who would have just charged it to the game, went home, closed the door.
Yeah, I could have took care of that situation myself, but I didn't want to take care of it like that, you know.
The last time I called the police, I think I was younger than 14, 13. And I only called them because my grandfather had diabetes. He was going through a diabetic attack. Right. And at that time, you're not aware of certain things or whatever. Yeah. Now looking back, I realize the older I am, the less likely I feel I would call the police for any situation. Some people are so scared or unwilling to go through it. What's up?
No, I was going to say, I don't even count that because you were looking for an ambulance specifically. You weren't looking for a cop to help you, but they come hand in hand, so I know what you mean. Like,
I call 911,
yeah, exactly.
That's a situation where why does a guy with a gun need to show up?
Yeah.
Dude has diabetes. Were you going to shoot the diabetes out of him?
So.
You know what I mean? Why do we need a guy with a gun?
Exactly.
You know?
It's just little things like that people can say they have a comfort level to do that, while others don't even feel comfortable.
And you know, it's crazy. A lot of people that are, you know, people with certain type of special needs that they have, you clearly see it. And I've seen so many officers shoot them when they're going through like their they're going through the episodes, and it's like there's so many things. If you can't handle it, get EMP out there, get the ambulance, because they know how to handle the situation. There's no reason why you should ever shoot someone who can't.
Health expert.
Exactly. And a lot of them are like, you can see it mentally, they're not even at the age of their body. Their mind is not there. Like they're children in an adult's body. You can see it. And I've seen so many of them get shot because they don't know. They're not aware. They're not aware of what's going on.
They're not trained in crisis
and they're
situations.
so stressed that it works them up. So it's like police don't necessarily need to be detaining or trying to break up every situation. If you have no expertise, you shouldn't be there.
I recently learned that actually, that like the last thing you should do is call the police on a really ill person, because their death rates are also like through the roof because they don't know how to handle it, especially homeless people who literally have nowhere to go. The way that they get treated, you think a cop's gonna care about a homeless person?
So it goes back to what I was thinking. It was like, police, their only tool is a hammer. And when all you got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
That's a bar.
I don't even agree with that, because they have utility. I mean, I'm sure, I know you're being figurative, but I'm assuming the hammer was a gun.
Yeah, like when you're a hammer, when your only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
And when you give that hammer power,
exactly,
more power, it's like that joint turns into a jackhammer now, and now you're trying to jackhammer stuff with nails, like
everything.
Like it's unnecessary. It's overly excessive.
So,
I know you wanted to talk about conspiracy theories. I just wanted to get your take real quick on coronavirus.
Oh yeah, yes.
And how that corona, if you think it correlates with this specific recent events that happened with police brutality and the protests and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, because we've had incidences in the past, Philando Castile, a whole lot of incidences in the past that, I mean, we didn't have anything quite as brutal caught on video for that length of time.
Philando Castile was pretty brutal. That was, I think.
Well, that's a gunshot. That's pretty quick. That's not 8 minutes and 46 seconds. You know what I mean? I understand. That's brutal to see that, like, for that length of time. I think it's a combination of that and, today I got time, for this.
Well, I don't know. I think that's just as brutal. Especially, he was the man that got killed in front of his family, right? His daughter was in the car.
His daughter and his girlfriend.
His daughter, yeah.
So that's for them. That's longer than 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's more brutal in terms of that aggressiveness.
No. I'm not comparing. I'm saying, but for the wife and the kid and the daughter, that's longer than.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
2 seconds felt like forever.
But this was like that. George Floyd was like, it was modern day lynching in public.
Can't even say that. You can't say that because people are still getting lynched. Like
that's. But I'm saying that's what it looks like that choking the life out of somebody. That's a modern day lynching. That's, that's the closest thing that we just saw a black man getting lynched on camera by a cop.
Well, Eric Garner was the closest thing.
Well, yeah, both.
This was the second.
Yeah,
which is, I think, another reason why it was so frustrating, because we
saw
it before.
Like I said, like another incident, Eric Garner, people weren't coming out like they did for this.
It has everything to do with Corona, and I say that with confidence. And so, if anyone doesn't agree, that is, you look at all these situations, and that should be the infuriating part about us. The fact that our job, we know we don't want to lose that, so we're not going to go out and protest. Like we're gonna.
Sometimes some people can't protest.
Some people can't.
Of their job.
Well, they can't. But either way, it comes back to your job. It comes back to you not wanting to lose a part of yourself for the cause. And now that you don't got nothing to lose, you're out there. So once again, I'm not blaming you for wanting to feed your family or whatever reason is, but understand and acknowledge that if the coronavirus wasn't popping off right now like it is, then I don't know. I also believe that the coronavirus. We're opening back up. there's no vaccine or anything that's being put out to the people. And when I say vaccine, I'm not saying I want that, but I'm saying you would think a virus that's killing all these people, that they would be on the clock working for something to give out an
There's
antidote,
not one
something.
solution.
There's
Here's the
nothing.
One.
thing,
And we about to open
here's
up.
my take on that. So they're saying once you get coronavirus doesn't mean you're immune to it, right?
No,
You can get it again.
possibly.
So how you gonna make a vaccine that you can't get it again?
So yeah,
If getting the virus itself is an immunity, then how are you gonna make that's not how vaccines work. How is a vaccine gonna protect you? That's one thing.
I agree.
The death rate, I think they're inflating some numbers quite a bit. And the death rate doesn't warrant the reaction that we're having to this virus.
Think we're overreacting or underreacting?
Overreacting.
Over.
And dude, honestly, like, I'm over it at this point. Like the first month, I was like, hold on, what the hell is this stuff? I didn't know. I was like, this sounds pretty scary, everybody's reaction. And then as time has gone on, I've been like, you know what? Can't really walk around scared your whole life. Can't really do that, because that's not life. That's not living life.
I know the last time I was scared of it, I have my mother and my stepfather, they both got it and they were sick for like 2 weeks. And then even when they got better, they were still sick.
Right.
And when they was going through, I thought I thought they might die. Like that was the scariest part, because I'm watching all these people dying. After that, after they was better and time goes on, it's like you're watching people and you're watching how people are reacting to this. I'm not saying a vaccine does anything, but the way that they were pushing it in the beginning, nothing comes out. Any type of medication, anything that maybe help prevent, I don't know. Then you start opening up. So now you're still also pushing that it's still possible it might come back. So what are you supposed to expect? Dead bodies in the streets? Because everything's supposed to be going back to normal soon. I don't know, but it has to be an agenda that was going on in my head for everything, the way it's moving and the speed it's moving and opening it back up. It has to be an agenda.
If you look at the coronavirus and how it moved through the planet from China, one of the first places it hit was Iran. And not only that, but it was within their regime directly that people got hit with the coronavirus hard. So you want to talk about conspiracy theories?
When you say overreacting, what do you think is the overreacting? The fact that they have to wear masks and gloves, or the social distancing, or the quarantine? Because I don't want to say it's overreacting, because I feel like it's belittling to people who died from it.
If you've lived with it, it's tough to say people overreacting if you've seen it up close.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to say that.
I can see how someone could say people overreacting. I can see. But Go ahead.
Sorry. I don't when I say overreact, I don't think that say it for the people who are going through it.
Right.
I say it for how it is being projected out to the masses of people.
Yes.
Because you gotta first and foremost, I'm sick of COVID. I really am. COVID-19. That statement is a registered. It's a registered. No, it's a registration. That's a registration of a disease.
SARS.
Thank you. Meaning that the government and the World Health Organization, they know of it. They know what it does. It's how it affects certain people, how it affects animals, how it affects everything. They know how it operates, and they have a vaccine for it. The the problem is that they can, when you have something that you know so much information on, you can pull it out of a hat, just like you pulling out anything. Like you could literally, and I said this in the episode before. I said, yo, you could literally replace COVID with any other disease. You can, and granted, it might have different symptoms. It might play out differently. But at the end of if it's registered, that means that there is full knowledge, and that's the key part. There is full knowledge of what the thing is, and the reason why I say that is because on the news I have you believe that they don't even know what's going on.
Right.
Granted, they
And they
a
give
lot
you
of
mixed
a lot probably
information all the time.
exactly, and granted, a lot of them probably don't. But the for organizations, health organizations, they know exactly what this is.
Mhm.
This is not something that Mother Nature just concocted out of nowhere. No, no.
Well, just because you know what it is doesn't mean you know how to stop it from happening.
Or you may have known of a strand.
But
Every
the thing that always gets me is you can get it again, but yet a vaccine is going to help. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, you can get the flu over and over again.
Right.
We
But
have a
that
vaccine
you
for that.
can't, right, but you can't get vaccinated for the flu.
We don't have a vaccine for the flu.
You get flu shots. I never got a flu shot in my life. I haven't had the flu in years. What it is it's a dead virus, but it constantly mutates. That's why you got to get a flu shot every year. So what you going to
that's
say?
every
I need to get a
disease.
coronavirus, a COVID virus vaccine every year?
And one thing about biology, because my mom told me this, and when you learn about viruses, rule number one with a virus is that it needs a host. So it
Yep.
doesn't matter. That's why I said you can interchange any disease, any virus, any disease. You can interchange it, and to the point of it mutating.
Yes.
Yes, that's a fact. It will mutate because it's it's an organism that survives off of leeching onto a host.
Right. So
Point blank. Period.
when's the last time you've been to the CDC website?
I went once, went like
Okay.
during the corona time.
Right. So there's two main strains of COVID, and one is stronger than the other. One will kick your ass a lot worse than the other. So a lot of people don't even read about this stuff, and they read about it on social media. This is why I'm saying it's like people are overreacting. It's because they don't educate themselves about the information that we do have, you know, and what that means. Like you three are probably not at high risk at all. You're young, you're healthy, you know. So if you were to get it, it probably wouldn't hit you that bad. You know, older generation, you know, they need to be the ones to look out for this stuff, you know, and they need to be more careful, you know. But you got to look at it this way too. Most of those people, most of the people that are at risk are retired. They don't have to work. Look at that. Look at that situation. Now they're shutting down the economy, and these people are retired. They don't care, and they're ones at high risk.
I don't think that's true because communities of people of color usually they work
Thank you.
a
I was gonna say
time before they can retire. Like
I
I
was
know
gonna say
there's some
that.
people
Right.
who are comfortable in their pensions, or even like because they make enough money because of their pension.
Okay,
A lot of
but
people,
look at the people that are comfortable, that are in charge, that are able to shut down an economy and still be comfortable.
oh yeah,
That's
that's
very telling.
bullshit. But
Right, Will?
I still think
but
we
I can
should
see
be
Will.
careful.
Will agrees, sees what I'm saying.
I'll
I
say
see what you're
this.
saying. Go ahead, Brandon.
A lot of times, and especially in this country's history, if there was something that was detrimental to society, it was held under wraps. It seems like even though after 4 or 5 months of prior knowledge to this disease being a possible threat, after they finally gave it to us, it seems like they were still doing other things behind the scenes
Mhm.
that were probably a little more important or a little more concerning than COVID. So, which makes me think that COVID was an excuse for a great distraction over these last 4 months.
It was.
So, I don't know. They tell you about the death rates, but they don't tell you about the recovery rates. That's what they don't give you. So
they do. It's just they don't put that on the headline.
yeah. So
When it first started happening, I heard it was a 70% survival rate.
So I have a really weird conspiracy theory. So this is just something I'm going to throw out there. So imagine if they told you that because of climate change, our Earth is in dire need of, you know, us to slow down, and we need to stop doing a lot of stuff that we're doing, or else this thing's going to come to a headway real quick right now. You think people would listen to that?
nope.
Oh,
But do you think if we released a virus and got everybody to
I want to believe that.
slow down, they do it?
I want to believe it, but I feel like there's too many people that don't believe in that climate change.
That's true.
Right,
And
but they believe it. This is my point.
I see what you're saying.
No one would do it to save the earth
Mhm.
because they're too selfish. But if they released a virus and you had to do it, because look, the hole in the ozone layer is shrunk as a result of this. Mother Nature is starting to come back. That's just a crazy theory I have.
Well, no,
that's-
I believe it. I believe it as a possibility.
If we follow that theory, then they're not overreacting, though. If then the bigger picture was saving the earth.
I mean,
Right.
but the overreaction is lying.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's
I
lying.
get what you're saying, to
But-
implement fear in people.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you're saying.
But
think about it if they were doing that for, I mean, it's just a weird theory. I don't really believe this. This is just stuff I'm kind of throwing out. You know?
But I mean, there
It's
is
possible.
a correlation.
Yeah. Imagine if they knew that they had to be this manipulative with the media, with the virus and everything.
I don't have to imagine it.
Save the earth. People aren't gonna listen. You know,
yo,
it had to be global. It had to be global.
It had to be global, and that's funny you say that.
And look at the country that
Us.
hurts at it. No, China. China hurts the earth worse than anybody.
Oh, you mean in terms of? I thought you meant in terms of handling the virus.
So then look at where it came from.
And then comes to Jersey after China.
What's that?
I said then comes Jersey after China.
Nah, Jersey is wild.
That's why.
Environmentally, Jersey.
Yeah, I know. EPA isn't even.
Nah, but I drive to Jersey past 3 weeks and the skies is clear. You know, birds is chirping. No,
trust me, I live by a bird sanctuary. Everybody's like, "Where's all these weird birds coming from? These weird color." I was like, "There's a bird sanctuary." They said, "Yeah, but I've never seen birds like this before in my life." Yeah, you haven't been home all day either.
No, it's funny that you say that because you go outside, in the city, you look up, you see stars, you smell the air. It smells clear, fresh. You're looking at all these places in the earth that are disgusting and it's cleaning itself. But if that's the case, we open back up and it doesn't take but 2 seconds to bring it back to where it was. So
That's true. It's kind of redundant to do all this.
Yeah, but maybe that's the test phase. Like, if we do all this, will it affect the climate in a way that we can save it? That's like the test phase, right?
My thing is, if that's true, you should be scared. If that's true,
you should be very scared.
So if this is a test.
It's going to release phase 2, and it's actually going to kill a lot of people.
Exactly.
That's the ultimate solution, right?
Maybe this is a population control.
Man.
Crowd control.
I mean, one of the harsh realities of human survival is the fact that we're overpopulating.
Oh yeah.
More than we can able to sustain the earth. And on top of that, we have systems set up in place that literally deplete resources.
You want to know why? We have no natural predator. Every species that we deem as overpopulating, they have no natural predator. So what do? We bring in a natural predator into the environment to kill them off. But who's our natural predator? Ourselves?
Virus.
Virus.
And this is going to go left, but our natural predator is the earth. Like we're trying to mitigate a process that's coming faster than we predicted.
Inevitable.
And it's inevitable, but our natural predator is the earth. There's nothing man-made. There's nothing that a man can make to stop coming. And it's not about what's coming. It's not more so of when or where, because it's going to be happening everywhere. It's just, is it going to be all at once, or is it going to be like a series of events? That's the thing that they haven't figured out.
We've already seen it, and so the battle now is beginning to be water, and we're seeing that in India and I think Bangladesh, where they have the dams, and they control the flow of water India controls like the flow of water to another country,
right?
Almost all their water, and India is so powerful that this other country can't do nothing about it. And there's people dying as a result because they're hogging the water.
That's a fact.
The aquifers are being depleted. So the water wars are going to be some serious stuff. You think oil wars were bad? Wait until the water wars start.
So what do you think about people, us? You see astronauts and the race for life on space or planets that can sustain life. I feel like there's more to it than just wanting to be curious about it. I feel like there's some type of
just know one thing. One thing about that statement is that what they're giving us is the very filtered, sifted through information.
Right.
So that means that just look at what they give you and magnify that by 50, because they've been tapping into the space exploration thing since the 60s. So that's like a 50-year head start.
Yep.
Everything that they're putting out now, like, we just discovered.
Oh, it's old stuff. It's old stuff. It's stuff that don't even matter.
Yo, when there's a conspiracy that about technology and about how I call it civilian technology.
Hold on a second. Talk about how they have it already lined up and ready to release, right?
Oh, no. Yeah, well, it's going to that point. Like the technology that's given to the human population is 50 years older than the real advancements, quote unquote, of technology.
Right.
So the technology that has been invented, is light years away from the technology that we use on a day-to-day. So and we talking about the space, and you can even generalize it more so here on Earth about with food and water and air.
Why do you think technology moves so quickly? They're saying it moves so quickly because they already have it ready to go to be released. They already have the iPhone 20 sitting on the shelf, ready to be released.
Possibly,
it's all ready to go.
But the ultimate tyrant in all of this is the Earth, and there's a fear and there's a paranoia in that thing, in that there's a fear and paranoia in that fact that there's nothing that we can do as a species that can stop what's coming for us.
Yeah. Well, we've been pillaging the Earth for years.
But not even years, for millennia.
Yeah.
For millennia.
And it'll just shake us off its back like a bunch of fleas.
Yeah. Well, Brian, we want to thank you for sharing your experiences with us at the protests and sharing your conspiracy theories. I'm sure Will was happy someone put a battery in his back about that. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure. It's always a good experience coming on here so far. It's been, I'm a lot more relaxed now. So, you're going to get more out of me.
It's great that you're starting within your community too.
Yeah, I'm learning too. This is a growth experience. This is new territory for me too. Like really, it's like I've always known. It's like you said, you know what to do, but you don't do it. It's like you got to go to the gym and work out, but you don't go to the gym and work out. You got to eat right, but you don't eat right. It's like I know I got to do this work, and now it's like, I've been so inundated with so many stories, so many things, so many feelings from people I know that are affected by this that I'm really like, I felt like I need to get out and do something.
Well, thank you again for being here. Will and Brandon, you got any last quotes or anything you want to give to Brian?
I just wanted to, I was thinking about it the whole time and I didn't say, well, not the whole time, just recently. But he reminded me when he was talking about things that we know what to do, we won't do it. You gotta go to the gym, but you won't do it.
Right.
As all this is going on, the one thing I'm surprised people are actually still doing, the PS5 and the Xbox are coming out soon. And that is once again like a distraction that your focus is in. And what are the I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. We know what could possibly come and what it could possibly mean behind the scenes for all this stuff, but we get mad and then so quick to get our we're on this and then it's like, oh wait, PS5, and now we're over here again. It's so easy to sway you.
That's why they
And I'm
want to
not,
bring that NBA back.
and I'm not saying you can't like different things.
So they just came out with new ones.
Soon.
Oh
Soon,
yeah,
not
they're
yet.
coming out. They're coming out soon. But
I'm
everyone's
surprised they didn't already hit the shelves with COVID and people sitting around. They would have made a killing on that.
they really
They
would
were
have.
probably trying to push it out quicker because of COVID. Who knows when their original release date was?
It's just funny that the attention span. That's gonna be had it released now,
It's
had
short.
the PS5 and the Xbox One or the Xbox whatever they're calling it released now. I have a feeling that the attention wouldn't have been where it needed to be. And that's just I'm talking about for the younger generation, right? And that's kind of you can. It's only a theory of mine. It's not fact, but it's not like we don't have proof or receipts of the past to kind of give my theory some
No, there's probably some truth in it. That's why they want the NBA to come back all of a sudden. They want to restart the season so people could get distracted again. But
yeah.
And the guys that are coming off surgery are the ones that want to sit out.
Exactly. That's a whole nother. We could have been talking about that, but it's a whole nother.
Yeah, that is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
So Brian, usually at the end of every episode, because I know you've watched previous ones, we always say how we feel at the beginning and then at the end. So how are you feeling right now, as opposed to how you felt when we first came on here?
I got a lot of thoughts, new thoughts in my head that I need to like digest. So I feel like I have a lot to chew on.
That's a valid feeling. I think we all do, to be honest with you. I feel a little bit more relieved now that, it's always good to talk to people about things that are built up inside of you. And you just read so much information on social media, don't know where to express how you feel because you don't want to sit there and type with every idiot. So talking always helps. I'd encourage anybody to talk about how they feel when it comes to heavy topics like this. What about you, Will?
I'm gonna pass it off to Brandon.
He's gonna go for a long time, aren't you?
Nah. I just want to pass it over to you.
Nah, just feeling. I don't know. I guess I don't know how I feel. Like it's kind of confused. It's happy. It's mad, sad, angry. But just like in all of it, having conversations with a lot of people, kind of keeps your hopes in a good place where it needs to be. When you have people who think, surely, I got cut off again, didn't I? Just I don't know. Like I'm just gonna keep going where I was at. Having conversations with people who think maturely, where you can have a disagreement, as we hit on in the earlier segment of the episode. When you can disagree with someone, but still respect their path or their goal, their choice of protest. That's really what we need to continue to do instead of degrading. And I'm seeing a lot of people speaking out on the fact that you don't have to then degrade or criticize someone because they're not doing something you agree with. So I'm happy that people are being more aware of that message. And I don't know.
But you will, best for last.
I would say. All right. So, in the words of Eddie Griffin, think, because it ain't illegal yet, but they're trying to come up with a way. They're working on a way. Like the rabbit hole gets deep, and this doesn't even begin to open up what's really there. There's so many layers, but first thing you got to do is think. You got to really look and analyze what's going on, what's being given to you, because we're in a very pivotal state. This is not happening by accident, and this is not by coincidence.
Yeah.
That's how you feel.
That's how you feel. That's what's up.
All right, Brian. Thank you again, man.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Appreciate you.